Now, Sports Talk with Broads. Here's Hunter Brody.
What is going on, everyone? I'm not really disturbed with how the Flyers played in this one. They lose to the Colorado Avalanche by a score of 3-1, but they went into the game shorthanded, without Oskar Lindblom, without Travis Konecny, and these guys, they provide offense, they score goals, they produce points, so losing them right off the bat, and factor in you're going up against one of the best teams in the NHL, yeah, you know what, it's not really a recipe for success, but I'm not mad about their effort. I thought they competed hard, they tried, they attacked at times. That second period, it really was all Flyers. They just couldn't execute. They ran into a hot goaltender as well. I know that they don't have their starting netminder in Grubauer, but it's not like Francouz played a bad game. He was really tremendous. It's a tough spot for the Flyers. Right from the jump, it was a tough spot. You move on to the next game. I'm just scared because this is a tough road trip, and losing some of your offensive production, it's bad. It's bad. But, you know, hopefully they can find a way to salvage this thing. They have a back-to-back set up this weekend with Dallas and Winnipeg. I'm praying that they can win at least one of those games. 1 and 2 on this 3-game road trip with the talent up front, not in the lineup with Oskar Lindblom and Konecny. I guess you take it and you move on from there, but I don't want to get too far ahead of myself here. We need to discuss what happened in this hockey game. But before we do, I want to let you know about the promo code BROADS that you can use at SeatGeek's checkout page. You get $20 off of your total purchase when buying tickets. It's a no-brainer. Use the promo code BROADS today. So the Flyers actually had to call up one of their prospects for this one just based off the fact that they needed some bodies. And Kase gets his first nod ever, right? Makes his NHL debut. Tough spot. Hey, kid, here's your shot. Here's a chance. Go into Colorado. Now, listen, it's not like he logged a ton of minutes or anything like that, but he got his first game out of the way, and we'll see what he really has moving forward. It's so hard to judge in a game like this what he really is, and you got the nerves kicked in and whatnot, and you're playing arguably one of the top teams in this league. It's not arguably, I was going to say arguably the best, because you can argue that they're the best, or some of the other teams are, but an elite team in this league, it's a tough spot to go into their building and perform for your first ever NHL game. In the first period, the Flyers got smoked. They got obliterated. It wasn't even close. The pace of play, it was all in the favor of the Avalanche. And when you look at this lineup, it's disgusting. Nathan MacKinnon is gross. The speed on this kid and the way he can change his angles. And oh yeah, by the way, his stick handling ability, it's just disgusting to watch. The kid is a freak of nature. And you put Ratenen back in the lineup. Kadri's back in the lineup. You're lucky that Makar wasn't playing. To think that this kid was just playing college a couple years ago. Are you serious? Was it even last year? I think it was last year he was playing, and he got called up for the back stretch of the playoff run. Stop it. Just stop it. This lineup is so disturbing, and it's so good. So no wonder why they were controlling the pace of play in the first period. The Flyers looked like they had no chance, and they take a 1-0 lead, the Avalanche do. They get a point shot. It hits the post. It squeaks through the blue paint on the other side of Carter Hart, and Calvert ends up putting it into pretty much a wide open net after it hits the pipe for a 1-0 lead. In the second, though, it completely changed. It was all Flyers, and it's so crazy that it was night and day. Because when I'm watching the first period, I'm looking at a Flyers team that had no shot because the other team is just coming out so much hotter. They're more talented. They're faster. And somehow in the second period, it looks like a completely different Flyers team that can actually compete. They had so many good chances. Provorov, Kevin Hayes. But they weren't able to put the puck in the net, and that was a problem. The Flyers outshot the Avalanche 17-5 in that period. But I'll tell you what, one of those 5 shots, yeah, they went in. But before that, when it was a 1-0 game, Carter Hart on a 2-on-1 goes post to post and flashes the leather. This is going to be one of the saves of the season. Not just for Carter Hart, okay? I'm talking all of the NHL. This is going to be a SportsCenter top 10 play tomorrow. I mean, it was just a fantastic save. He comes across, he throws his body out there and makes the save. It was truly tremendous. And at that point, it was a 1-0 game, so it really kept the Flyers in it. And like I stated, in that second period, it was all Flyers, so it was such a key save. And up to that point, I could count maybe 4 other saves that were so big and that really held the Flyers involved. I mean, like I stated, they were getting pumped in the first, so for it to be 1-0 after the first period was insane. And it was all because of Carter Hart making some timely key saves. But eventually, Colorado did score, and from there it was deflating. It was deflating because the Flyers controlled a lot of that second period, because they took control of the pace of the game and the momentum. So it really was deflating once Colorado found the net and Ratenen scored from MacKinnon. Oh, wow, shocker there. Third period came along, a defensive breakdown. Carter Hart, probably not the greatest attempt in that situation, but really, am I going to blame him for allowing that goal? And it wasn't just him. There was a defensive breakdown. Like I stated, there was a guy wide open on the side of the net. And when I say a guy, once again, Ratenen for his second of the night. What a way to come back and make a statement, huh? Unbelievable. So it was 3-0. And with 5 minutes left, Claude Giroux found the back of the net. Voracek and Sean Couturier ended up getting the assists. The Flyers put on some pressure at the end once they pulled Carter Hart, but nothing really truly generated. And at the end of the day, you look at it like this. It was a tough spot for the Flyers. They didn't really have their top point producers. The Colorado Avalanche are a better hockey team. It's just no doubt about it. It's a lock to say that. The Colorado Avalanche are way better than the Flyers. So the Flyers are good this year, and we should be super excited to watch them every night. But here's reality. The Washington Capitals, the Boston Bruins, the St. Louis Blues, the Colorado Avalanche, there are teams in a different tier than the Flyers. That's like the top tier. That's the squads I just mentioned. Underneath of that is more of where the Flyers are. That's not saying that's a bad spot to be in hockey, right? In the NHL, any team can win the Stanley Cup if you make the playoffs. I've seen 8th seeds win the Stanley Cup. It's just about getting into the dance and making the tournament in this sport. It's not like basketball where you got to be the top 2 seeds to really have a chance or something like that. So it's just about getting in. But as of right now, when you look at it, the Flyers are not at the Colorado Avalanche level, and that's reality. So it was a tough spot for them to go into this game to begin with. Being so shorthanded, you can see the difference in depth when Chris Stewart is on your fourth line and when you have an NHL debut guy in there. And then you look to the other side and you see veterans and just a good unit. For example, Nieto was out there in the first period. I mean, he had like 5 or 6 scoring chances. That's crazy. That's insane. Considering their top lines are so lethal, to see so much production out of a guy like that, you just saw the difference in depth. And if the Flyers were fully healthy, yeah, it could have been absolutely different. I mean, they even didn't have Phil Myers in the mix. So it is what it is. I'm not disappointed in them. I'm not mad at them. I thought their compete level was there. I thought the effort was there. They were battling. It came down to not really being able to execute, but giving a lot of credit to Francouz, who played very solid for Grubauer. And it came down to running into a better team. Coming into the game, they were both grabbing points at an insane rate. One squad had to lose. I wish it didn't look the way it did, though, on the scoreboard. Like at one point when it was 2-0 and when it was 3-0, you could sense the Flyers were somewhat out of it. And like I stated, it wasn't as if they gave up and they decided not to work hard anymore. It definitely wasn't to that degree. But it felt as if, there was no chance. That's just how it works sometimes. As I started this off, I stated I'm worried about the next 2 games. on the road, back-to-back, with injuries. I would be disappointed on an 0-3 road trip here, on an 0-3 stretch. It's not an excuse to say you don't have your point producers, but, I mean, that is key. There should be plenty on this roster to be able to win a couple games here on the road. I'll put it like this. If they lose their next two in this back-to-back, I will be really disappointed. If they win one of these next two games, I'll say, okay, let's move on. I wouldn't be happy about it, but I'd say, okay, let's move on. If they win both, I would be super pumped. So that's pretty much where I would be if I was to lay this out for you. One thing I did notice, though, with Carter Hart, he is not good at playing the puck. He's not good at stick handling. We can date it back to the game where Shane Gostisbehere and Carter Hart had a miscommunication on the power play, and a couple times in this game, he puts the puck on his stick and he forces something bad. It goes into another player. He fumbles it or he tries to get a lot on it. He barely gets any on it. It goes somewhat in a spot where it's easy for the other team to pick it up. Carter Hart is not good with handling the puck, so I question at times, why don't you just put your glove on it? Why don't you just stop and get a whistle? I'll take my chances with putting Sean Couturier in the faceoff dot, Claude Giroux, Morgan Frost, somebody else over Carter Hart trying to play the puck, because at some point it's going to cost them again. I mean, it literally costed the Flyers last game when him and Shane Gostisbehere had miscommunication. Carter Hart was facing the play. Shane Gostisbehere has his back turned, and he's not really putting the puck in a proper position. Am I really nitpicking Carter Hart here? He's tremendous. He's fantastic. But that's one element in his game that I think he can work on. Well, not that I think he can work on. He needs to work on. Because that's a difference maker. I watch some goalies put the puck in a great position for their teammates. For example, on a breakout. Instead of maybe setting the puck up behind the net, having a defenseman skate around, if, say, the other team's changing and the puck comes in and Carter Hart can make a nice outlet pass to his defenseman that's somewhat near the face-off dot, he can move it up quickly, and now it's a quick 2-on-1, or it's a quick breakaway or something, compared to if he just moves the puck back or fumbles the pass and doesn't get all of it, and it just goes super slow to the defenseman. There's a lot that can happen with the goalie handling the puck better. But that's the nitpick on Carter Hart. Everything else is tremendous. I mean, he did a great job at making key saves, going post to post, flashing the leather, keeping the Flyers involved. Now, the Flyers actually outshot, as a whole, the Colorado Avalanche. They had 33 pucks on net to the Avs 27. And how about this? The crowd. The crowd was insanely favoring the Flyers at points. Obviously, I guess that's a little bit of a ridiculous statement, because if the arena holds 20,000, I doubt it was ridiculously favoring the Flyers. But I will say this, "Let's go Flyers" chants occurred multiple times on the TV when it wasn't a 2-0 or 3-0 game, and then you started hearing the other fans come in and try and overpower the Flyers. But they were noticeably loud early on, at puck drop, a little bit in the second period, and then you heard the boos, all the Avs fan boos. I was just impressed with how many fans traveled out there. I was thinking, did Flyers fans really travel and maybe hit this road trip? Or are there a lot of Philadelphia fans that now live in Colorado? Maybe, just maybe, it has to do with weed being legal there. I don't know. I'm just saying there's a ton of stoners in this world. Maybe that's a possibility. The Flyers need to shake this off and move on to the next one. Can't put your head down and pout about it. It was a game where you ran into a really hot team, a better team, and the Flyers were shorthanded. It's just that simple. But let's go. All right, let's go. Minnesota, Winnipeg, tough opponents coming up. Can't go 0-3. Cannot. I won't allow it. Let me know your thoughts down below. Thank you so much for watching. Hit that thumbs up button, subscribe. I will see you next time.